Oh, it's just Jord.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Little Nightmares theory. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to talk, or rather theorise, about the Shadow Children. Now, I know I've made a video regarding the Shadow Children, but that was just a prediction video, and while I got some things right, in that I wanted to take another shot and see if I could get more right, and hopefully explain a bit more on the subject. So let's begin, and warning if you haven't already, I do suggest you go finish the Secrets of the Maw DLC, because this is going to contain a lot of spoilers. There's your warning, and we will proceed on with the video. So, the Shadow Children. If you're unaware, these are one of the main enemies that we face in the new DLC, the Residents. They tend to only come after you while you're in the dark, in a certain section towards the end of the chapter. Their main aim is to stop you on your path as a last resort for the lady. They try and defeat you by taking over your body, in a sense, and sucking the life force out of you, if you will, very similar to the move that the lady pulls when she encounters Six. So, with the Shadow Kids, or children, whichever you prefer, we know that they are a summoned being of some sort, meant to represent children. We know this by some of their characteristics. For instance, when we are lurking in the Residence, they do not attack straight away. They are to start with more playful and wary, figuring out who we are. The only time you see them is when they're in the dark, for example behind a stack of books or furniture, and while they lurk in the dark like a game of hide and seek, they giggle and laugh from afar, and it's only until you get so far into the game that they actually try and stop you. What's interesting to note about this though is that they're there before the lady even knows you are, so we know that they actually must live down there. Also, the appearance of the shadows are an awful lot like the Runaway Kids figure. With that being said, we can even see on the foot of the shadows that there are shackles, which are just like the Runaway Kids. So for me, this must be an indication that the summoned kids were once runaway kids, just like our runaway kid. But the more likely chance of that is the fact that the reused assets of the runaway kid is just easier for the devs to use rather than making a whole new multiple models for the shadows. But the best bit of this theory is it's really interesting how I theorise that the shadow kids tie right into the Ashes room. Because while the lady turns Runaway Kid into a gnome at the end of the DLC, we still do not see her actually kill anyone or anything. So if she doesn't kill these Shadow Kids, then how exactly are they made? Well, I think this is where the secret room comes into play, and it's what hints at us visually, which I'll obviously go into theory now. So in the Ashes to Ashes room, there is a jar in the middle of the table, and this jar is surrounded by a few other objects, which are quite unnerving. Next to the jar and the table, you'll see more statues of children that look like they went through the same process as the children that tried to escape in Six's story or timeline, the ones that were turned to ash. As well, there are also piles of the ashes along each of the corners. Then we have a picture above the jar, and the wallpaper behind it looks to be charred or burnt, if you will. What I believe is that Tarzia are trying to tell us that these kids were burnt of some sort, and then their souls being left over have gone into the jar. We get a hint of this visually through the image that Tarzia gives us when we go into the room. Like the flow of the picture, it continues to go into the jar itself. And if we look deeper into the image, it looks like the faces of children. And I only say children, not random people, because of the setting around it, and how the kids are one of the main themes, if you will, and how that the ashes of the kids are right next to the jar. So with all that being said, this does open the question, did she keep kids down in the Residence? Maybe not just any children. As we know, this is her residence. If anyone is going to stay down here, then they must be special of some sort. So what if the lady had multiple children? I mean, it would explain why she keeps a music box that looks like it was aimed at children down in her secret room. And to add to that, it could also explain why there are so many porcelain dolls around the residence and not in sight of everyone else. Maybe she's trying to keep the fact that her children, or some children in her care, died with her, with fire represented by the burnt wallpaper. Maybe this is why she spends her alone time stroking dolls and humming. Maybe it's reminiscing about the children that she lost. And it would explain why she doesn't kill children, she just turns them into gnomes. And with that being said, it would explain why these ashes are actually in a jar and not just around that jar like any other ashes. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is what I think, and as you know, any theory is a theory. So your ideas, please post them in the comments below, and if you have any ideas on this theory or against the idea of this theory, like I said, post a comment below, let me know, we can have a discussion about it. And remember, if you'd like me to tackle a theory in particular, make sure you comment it below. And like usual, guys and girls, if you like the video, please hit like, and if you want to subscribe to the channel, please hit subscribe and with the bell button, then you'll be notified of when a new theory goes out or anything else other. Anyway guys, thank you for joining me today's video. I wish you all the best, and I hope you are all well, and I'll see you all in the next theory video. Bye!